Welcome to YugiBoom, you guys. I got my deck profile for you guys of one of my dearest decks I took to San Jose Regionals. I did pretty okay for my own expectations, and it's a Mermail Deck Profile. So let's check it out. So I went to my San Jose Regionals on December 8th with all the YugiBoom team, and we all competed. We tried our hardest, and well, none of us topped, but we were happy though. My record at the San Jose Regionals was 4-3, so I'm actually really happy about that. The other times I've gone, I've done really horrible, and I've taken this deck too, but this time I kind of changed it a little bit. So and it did help a little bit. So let's go ahead and check it out. So we got 3 Neptibus, the Atlantean Prince. This card saved the Mermail Atlantean deck, or whatever you want to call it. So 1 card OTK, potential card. Like if they can't stop this, you're gonna game them, and it just creates so much advantage, and it's just one of the best cards. And every time I summon this, my opponent would always try their best to get rid of it or to stop it, and if they didn't, they get OTK, and if they did, oh well. But this is always the best starter card. So 3 Neptibus, I gotta run the 3, and then back at 3 from a most recent ban list is the Atlantean Dragoons. To be able to search any sea serpent type monsters, so you can get access to any of your Atlantean monsters, or the Abyss Megalo as well. And it's not once per turn. It's so good. So you got to run this at 3. When it was back at 2, it was really good, and then back at 3 is even better. So I would always have all my opponents look at it and be like, "It's not once per turn, right?" I'm like, "No, it's not once per turn." So that card's really good. And then I run 3 heavy infantry. A spot removal card effect. It can target anything, so it can be spell a trap or a monster. Sometimes if you already use your Dragoons too much and you have another Neptibus in hand and you use the Neptibus, you can start popping cards on the field. So that's why I like having infantry. Some people like to cut it down to 2, or the marksman 2 to 2, but I like having 3 heavy infantry and 3 marksmen, because sometimes it's just about the names, and even if you can't get their effects off when you send it with Neptibus or like the Mermail monsters, you just have at least that discard fodder. So that's why I always like maxing it out, just for that reason. Especially now with the Dragoons back at 3, it does help out a lot. And then also summoning heavy infantry with Deep Sea Diva is really good, because you can always get the extra normal summon, and you get Neptibus out, and then you just keep going with that. So it's an easy like link 2, or if not, go into like a synchro play, because Diva's a synchro, or a tuner I should say. And yeah, so that's why I like having infantry at 3. And then like I said, I like maxing everything out, or maxing the quantities. So 3 marksmen. If they do have set spell trap cards, it's really good, or if they set monsters, it's really good. But like I said, I never really use this card, only if they had something in the back row and I wanted to get rid of it. Because this deck can lose to back row really badly. So it's there, or it could also be a potential OTK, or a potential game ender, because you can summon this, and then if you get this effect off for battle damage, you can always summon the Dragoons if you haven't used them all. Just depending how much life points, you can always summon the Neptibus from your deck. You can't summon another marksman, but at least you can summon the Neptibus, so that's always good. But yeah, like I said, I always like running the 3 of, just to have the extra names and fodder for all your monsters. And then now to the Mermails. With my old build, I used to run like the Pike and the Lind and the Turge. But with this deck, I found, or my friends will always tell me, that it's probably best to just try to maximize your special summons. Or your normal summon, you just always want normal summon Neptibus, or if the Diva if you have in hand. So we cut down the Mermail, so there's not so many Mermails in the deck, just the broken ones. So 3 Teus, just to discard 1 water monster to summon him, and then to search. He's so good, and then like I said, you combo it off with any of the Atlanteans. He's really good. Or if you have Gunde, you already have a Mermail in the grave, you can always bring it back. So yeah, this card is really, really good. That's why there's 3 of them. And then for the second Mermail level 7, we have 2 Megalo, I do see some builds that run 3 Megalo, and then like, or they can run the 2 Megalo and 1 lead. I like having the 1 lead just as discard fodder, and if you ever bring it back with Goon, you can do that. Especially if you have a Teus. It just depends on the how you're playing so far. So having, but it's just because Megalo is not that strong by himself. That's why I just do run the Abyss scale of Mizuchi to give him the extra boost. But yeah, just to have this card and to have the Neptabyss out, and then tribute that, and then you just summon back that Dragoons for the potential decay if they have an open field is really good. So yeah, that's why I just run 2 Megalos. Also, just to discard 2 Water Monsters. Sometimes you may not have that many Water Monsters, so it depends. And then for more, we got 2 Gunday. Like I said, she's only good if you already have a Mermail monster in the graveyard. If not, then you might as well just discard her for fodder. Like even if you have a target, you're just like, well, might as well. So yeah. So I mean, but she came in clutch so many times at the regionals, and yeah, they would always call by the grave like my one other Mermail monster in the graveyard, just so I don't get to summon it and things like that. So, or they would call by the grave itself too, just so I don't get the effect. So, yeah. So it's always about baiting your opponent's stuff, that way you can get your actual play off. And I did that a lot. And then the 1 lead, like I said, just a beater. I probably actually summoned him 1 time with his actual effect by discarding 3. I didn't even have an Abyss scale in the graveyard, so I couldn't add him, or I couldn't add it back with his effect. But just to summon him, and I had like 3 effects go off, like Gunday, and I had a Dragoons and like a heavy infantry, and they're just like, okay, and I just linked him off just to make him a Starboy. So yeah, he's just there. And then for the card, or for the little engine that my friends helped me decide to add, like I said, just to bait out your opponent, because like I said, if you don't have your Neptabyss, you're not gonna win, or I don't think you're gonna win. So I run 3 Swap Frog, or we won the frogs. So I run 3 Swap Frog. This card is so good. You know how many times people will try to Veiler it. They would Widow Anchor it. Anytime I send with its effect, they would call by the grave in the graveyard. So it was just really good. And like I said, since you always have a water monster in hand, just a special summon is good, because even if they try to negate it or something, if you have a Neptabyss in hand, or a way to get a Neptabyss normal summoned, it's just gonna you're just gonna summon it. Especially because a lot of cards nowadays are once per turn. So yeah, so those frogs put in a lot of work at this regionals, and I was really happy. And then the 2 Dupe Frog and 1 Ronin Totem. Sometimes I did find myself needing the extra Ronin Totem, so maybe you could add in a Ronin Totem, and maybe an extra dupe just to have the extra names for a Ronin Totem's effect, just to summon from the graveyard. But yeah, there were some times where I did need the second Ronin Totem, but this was still perfectly fine as well. Like I said, I have Ronin Totem, and I wanted to summon it. They would always banish the other frogs just so I don't summon it and things like that. So, just to make them waste the resources for things like that is, it's funny because I would summon totally awesome and then they would get really scared. I did that against a Sky Striker player. That's how I won 1 round against him, but he still beat me. And then 1 Diva, her normal summon effect, really good, busted. That's why she's at 1. I really wish she'd come back to 2, but I don't think she'll come back to 2 anytime soon. So yeah, so she's really good. Whenever I summoned this, they would try to Ash it or whatever, or Ghost Ogre it, and yeah, so it's just good. I didn't really see her too much, especially because it's searching everything else out. But when I had it, so it was good. And then for the 1 play that we always do, the Mooling Glacia, summon, and then you get to rip 2 cards from your opponent's hand. That's always good. Well, depending on your matchup, because sometimes some people want their stuff in the graveyard and other people don't. So, yeah, so it really depends when you want to, or how you summon this. I would honestly side this card out a lot at the regionals, because even if I discard 2 cards from their hand, they would be cards that they want in the graveyard, and then they'll get effects and things like that. Especially against a BA player. I played against a BA Mermail deck. It was a mirror match we had, and he would kept banishing this with Farfa, and then somebody in the back, and I wouldn't get my battle phase, so I remember the second round I had to side this out because I couldn't lose my battle phase, because that's what my deck wants to do, is OTK you. So yeah, but he's still a good card. And yeah, just 2 rip cards from your hand is always good. And 2 Veiler. I made the 2 Veiler just because I want to negate all effects that the monster has. Like sometimes maybe if they have the one effect, you negate that with like Ash or something, but they have a second effect that doesn't that that you can't hinder. Like let's say Isolde or something like that. So but yeah, so 2 Veiler. I didn't tech it or side in the 2 Ash and like other things like that. So it just depends on the matchup. But I think Veiler is really good. And also it's a level 1 tuner, so you can always sync her out with this card and stuff. So yeah, that's the monster. So it's a pretty high monster count, and then I just run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 spells. There's 29 monsters and 11 spells. I ran 2 salvage. Since I did add the swap frogs or the frogs in this deck, salvage became even more busted because you could always add those back. Sometimes I'd add back like a Neptibus and swap frog, or just those kind of combinations. So I always liked. So having the extra, I used to only run 1, but then I added the second one because I have a lot more targets now. So especially because it's a pretty monster heavy deck. So I thought, why not run 2 salvage? So that's what I did, and it came in really good a lot of times because to always add back a resource from a graveyard is really good. And then because we don't like back row, we play 2 Twin Twisters. Combo this with the Gunde is really good if you have a Mermail engrave, so why not? And like I said, we don't like back row here. And then for the 1-ofs, 1 Regeki, 1 Dark Hole. I remember one time I played a Thunder Dragon player, and I Dark Holed him, and I Regeki'd him, and he saved them both. And then I would summon the Neptibus and pop it with the heavy infantry, and I did all that just to get rid of 1 Colossus. So yeah, so it's pretty hard when you're playing. Well, for me, I had a pretty bad matchup with Thunder Dragons, but I think that's because I sided horribly. But that's besides the point. So 1 Dark Hole, 1 Regeki, 1 Monster Reborn. To summon from either player's graveyard is always good. Maybe if they have a tuner or something, you want to use of theirs if you don't have yours in your grave, like the Diva or the Veiler. You can always bring that back, or just summon one of their heavy monsters, And 1 Abysscale, the Mizuchi. This card is really good because it negates the spell effect. So you would have to make either use something they don't want to use first to get rid of this, and then they can go with what they were doing. But yeah, this card actually helped me a lot during a lot of the matches. So just 1 of those, especially because it's a mega low target. 1 Moria Greaves, since it's a heavy monster count. You could run 2, maybe you should run 2, but I just like the 1 because once you get 1 off, you probably get better stuff, and then by then you probably win. And then 1 for 1 for the Neptibus, just to summon it for free from the deck is always good. You do have to pitch a monster, but I think that's a fair trade for a Neptibus on field, especially because you haven't used your normal summon, so that's really good. So that's it for the main deck. It looks like 29 monsters, 11 spells, and yeah, and I think it did really well. So now we're gonna go into the extra deck. I have 5 links, 5 exceeds, and 5 sinkers, which is one thing I noticed, which is pretty funny. So we have 2 Miss Starboy. I summoned this guy so many times, even when it got destroyed by battle by card effect, and a lot of people thought it had to be sent to the graveyard, but it doesn't have to be, as long as it just gets destroyed, period. And I would always add back my Swap Frogs, my Neptibus, my Dragoons, just for the fodder. So this card came in so good so many times. And then for a Link 3, I summoned Deco Target. You could probably switch this out for a Unicorn. I would say maybe a Unicorn instead, just because you could spin stuff back from the deck to the grave. There's something I wish I could have done a couple times, especially with Thunder Dragons. That's probably my hardest matchup because of Colossus. But yeah, he was there. I never summoned him, but he's there just in case to negate something if you have something pointing to it. Yeah, I'd probably switch this out for Unicorn instead. So, but Deco Saga is still a good card. And then for 2 Link 4s, I have 1 Borlo and 1 Saryuja. Borlo, like I said, is just a good card. Also because I don't have a Boral Sword. If I had a Boral Sword, I'd probably run that instead. But Borlo is still a really good card. And then Saryuja, if you did all your plays and then you summon Saryuja with his effect, and then to draw 4, put back 3, he's so good. And then you special summon 1 from hand, so that's even more broken. Yeah, this card came in really clutch. a couple times, especially if you have to go first. I don't like going first, but if you have to go first, at least you have access to this. So that's why I like those. And then for the Exceeds, one totally awesome. He put in a lot of work at this regionals with those frogs in the deck and just summoning this. It was really good, and I'm really happy I played this card. He won me a lot of duels, a lot of matches. So yeah, just the one. Don't need more than that. Just one's okay. One Castel, one Dweller. In case you do have the 2 Dragoons out, you need to get rid of Problematic Monster, or you need to stop graveyard effects. They're there. So that's why they're in there. And then one Mermail Dragon, one Gaios. You could run the big guy, you could run the Draco Sack or Tomahawk. But I just decided something that would stun them more. This guy's really good, especially if you get the Mizuchi on it. And then one Flare Metal Dragon. This won me one duel because they couldn't activate card effects. So yeah, Flare Metal Dragon is really good with this. So, and to synchros, we're gonna go to one White Aura Dolphin. Honestly, this whole regionals, I did not summon any synchros. Like I said, just because I didn't see Diva that much, but it was there just in case. One White Aura Dolphin, just to half an attack is really good. One Coral Dragon, one White Aura Whale, one Trish, one Star Eater. Actually, I did summon a synchro monster. I lied. I did summon a Trish one time. It was actually won me the duel. That duel. I still lost the match, but I won the duel. So yeah, but they're really good cards. White Aura Dolphin, like I said, to get over a big monster. Coral Dragon, you can use the Atlantean monster's effect. You discard the Atlantean monster to pop a card, and then you get an extra effect off the Atlanteans. That's always good. White Aura Whale, just destroy all your opponent's monsters. He's really good. Trish, non-targeting removal, so that's why I always like Trish. And then one Star Eater, just for a big attack monster who cannot be destroyed by stuff. So why not? And he's really good. You have a heavy infantry Diva and a level 7 Mermail, and there you go. And you can't, and something can be negated, so why not? But yeah, that's the deck profile, you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. If you guys have any ideas for the deck, maybe something I left out. And like I said, I had really fun at this regionals, the San Jose regionals. Just to go with my friends is always the best thing, and it doesn't help when you win a little bit, right? So, but yeah, so like, comment, subscribe. Check out our new deck profiles we're going to be coming at you with. And then a new duelisting cards getting packs. That's going to come out soon. And yeah, thanks for watching, you guys, and have a good day.